also with the kind of analysts we have, I am pretty sure it is going to be a very informative and productive session for all of you. So before moving forward, let me first quickly tell you the broad points that we are going to deliberate upon in this session. So as the title suggests, we are going to particularly discuss in terms of what are the emerging trends in the digital tourism, how technology particularly can shape the future of the Indian tourism industry. And since the focus is on Goa, the broad area also is covering in terms of how Goa tourism is going to take advantage of this new age technology which is coming into existence in all the sectors. So why we are talking digital? So as a country, if you start looking at India, you can see there is a great progress that we have made as a country, as a digital country. There is a whole program of Digital India which is run by the Central Ministry of Making. If you just start looking at the indicators, so to begin with, right now, if you see the kind of number of mobiles that we are having in this country, the kind of smartphones, somewhere around 45 crore smartphones are there. If you just look at the number of broadband users that we have in the country, more than 56 crore broadband users we are having. So all of this is resulting in huge digital penetration. And apart from that, what recently has happened, there is a great number of increasing digital payment overall, and that is a very, very good positive for the tourism industry as well. Because if you look at the bookings which happen through various platforms, now in terms of the discussions that we are going to have, what is the purpose? Why are we looking at digital? So as industry, as the government which provides all the facilities and the infrastructure, we are interested in creating an experience which is better. Every time you go to a place, you repeat that visit to a place. We want to create an experience which is better every time. We want to create products which is better, which is suited to your personal choices. We want to maybe create a content that is local. So for example, why I mentioned this word local? In many of the scenarios, the bookings or the apps which are there in the market are in English. But if you look India, particularly as a country, the tourists which travel are mostly local. Still the content that is available on the booking apps is not local. Maybe we should look at that from the point of view of digital also. Again, why the focus is on digital, specifically on the tourism industry? Tourism industry as a whole, if you look at the numbers of the GDP, it roughly contributes to about 11% of India's GDP. It is also one of the industries which generates the highest number of employment, as against the investment made into the sector. So while we talk of the digital, we are looking at increasing the efficiencies of the sector itself. Then again, some emerging trends have come up, where digital has helped in terms of managing the load of the tourists. So particularly if you take example of Goa itself, we would see that the load of tourists in North Goa is typically higher compared to South Goa. While if the end-to-end experience is created using digital platforms and the learnings that are available through the data that is fed to those platforms, it could be handled better and the experiences can further improve. Again, in terms of bringing the tourists on board, in terms of getting them to the destinations, overall digital can also help improving that experience. So I'll not take much further time. I'll just maybe introduce the panelists to you in a quick manner. So we have with us Revati ma'am. Ms. Revati Majumdar, she is the CEO of Goa Electronics Limited. It is the agency. That is the main reason why she is here, because it is the organization which takes care of creating all those platforms which would be available to you in terms of the experiences or the infrastructure which is being made available from Goa. She has an extensive experience of having worked within Goa, all sort of areas she has worked in. She was for a brief period of time with us also in KPMG. And she has worked in the land records department also, and brings extensive experience of both the local Goa experience and the digital part of it. We further have Mr. Sunil Suresh, who is the Group Chief Marketing Officer of Make My Trip. Make My Trip, as everybody you know, might have used at some point of time. He also brings in a very vast experience of the industry in terms of brand, social performance, and he was involved in innovation and marketing tracks also. We further have architect Hemant Arundekar. He is a architect by profession, and he has been involved in Goa, particularly from 2018, where he launched his venture club Nautilus the Goa, and he is also the convener of tourism panel in the CII in the state Goa, in the State Council of Goa. We further have Mr. Amanpreet Bajaj, who is the country manager for India Airbnb. Airbnb, I think everybody of you know. He, in terms of what I was discussing as platforms, he represents part of that, and he'll bring in that kind of perspective from his point of view. So, ma'am, just to begin the session, over to you. Please bring the perspective from the government side and throw lights.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ranjan. I presume in the last couple of months, we all have been going through a phase where it is absolutely kind of necessity that we start every conversation on a very optimistic note. So I was very overwhelmed when I read this, that a Global Future Travel Survey conducted in April 2020 gives us a very optimistic view about the travel possibilities, but after post-COVID, that is somewhere like after October is what the survey tells us. It really that absolutely in the basis, the travelers are looking forward to travel. Of course, that's the basic. Almost 50% of them look forward to travel this year itself. That is before the end of 2020. Of which around 75% of them want to travel with their families because of COVID and the lockdown. They have been kept away from each other, so they want to travel along with the family. Almost 40% of them want to travel intercontinent also. So I think that gives a lot of positivity to all of us working in this industry, and a lot to look forward to in this area. So, well, Ranjan, coming up to what you said, that what is Goa doing currently and what are our plans for the future, specifically in the area of technology and the industry of tourism and travel in Goa. As you rightly said, Goa is a destination, desired destination across the world, and we have always been on the forefront for adapting technology very fast. When the era of websites and the portals came up, of course, we have a very comprehensive portal already in place of the department, that is the Goa Tourism Development Corporation. And that has not only the information that is required for all the activities and the kind of hotel reservations, everything, all the bookings also in all sectors of any kind of tourism activities, the hotels have been put online with the end-to-end payment gateway integration. So this basic, as far as Goa is concerned, is in place. When the era of mobiles came in, of course, we also understood that with an annual increment of 14 to 15% of online book happening every year, and increase. The payment gateways got integrated, we got onto the thing. Then the era of mobiles came in, and now, as you rightly said, almost around 458 million, quite huge in the country. After that, we got on to the mobile app, which has again all state services along with the payment gateway integration on the mobile app also. I think we got our basics and all of these things in place, and we are well on those criteria, in par or better than all the other states. But post-COVID, our perspective and our planning and our strategies have majorly changed. I would like to say here that I'm sure all of us would agree that COVID space has given all of us a lesson or two, especially domain, technology domain. An important aspect that we realized in Goa is that data, as we normally say, data is God. Time through the COVID phase, whether it was the pre-planning, whether it was management of the crisis, or whether it was the revival strategies and the policies that we are trying to formulate now in order to revive the industry, data forms a major, I'll say, the basis and a non-negotiable requirement of this whole planning scenario. So the whole focus of the state and the tourism industry, including the government, now has shifted to first of all create a good warehouse or a database of complete each and every stakeholder in the state concerned with the tourism industry. Whether it is the taxi driver or whether it is the five-star hotels, whether it is the creativity and the entertainment activities, whether it is adventure sports, every stakeholder should be on a common platform. This is the prime requirement. Second thing what we are working towards is every tourist landing onto our state, not only his profile, but also his preferences in terms of what he prefers. Where does he prefer to stay? As you rightly said, Ranjan, why is there a influx only in the North Goa and why not more in the South Goa? Why more activities are taken up in the North and why not in the South Goa? So such kind of questions need to be answered through the data companies. So collection of data is going to be a major step that we are all looking forward to this state. We have already started working on this. In fact, on creating of a policy of how we get this complete information onto a complete single framework. Of course, we will have to tie up with everybody, including the aviation and the railways, who are getting in these our tourists to our states. So this is the prime requirement. The second phase, as we plan after COVID, is particularly, as you rightly put it, post-COVID, the personal touch that we talk about. We have to retain this personal touch and the customized version of every application or every system that we are trying to take to the public. And specifically in the tourism sector, this is very important. So once you have the complete data in place, of course, the AI-based chatbots will be a major area that we will be working on very soon, where it is not only about a bot who tells you that, okay, if I'm flying from New York to India, what are the things, okay, these are the flights or these are the hotels, that's all fine. I mean, that's the basis. We all need that. Beyond that, what is more important now, particularly seeing the scenario post-COVID, we require very personalized touch in terms of NLPs. That is, natural language processing is a must with the bots. As you rightly said, that if there is a tourist landing from Andhra into my state, and if he wants to look out for some entertainment, the bot should be able to tell him that there is a Mahesh Babu film, playing in the next INOX. That should be the level and the customization that, personalization that touch we should try and get. So of course, as a government, we are trying to work on AI-based bots. That will be the second phase after we complete our complete data repository formulation and policies to that effect. So that is very important in the first phase. Another important thing that we realized is that now, as the trend goes on, the social media is going to be the next go-to travel agent. People nowadays rely more on the stories and the experiences that we get on the social media. So, culling out information from the social media, deriving relative information, and analyzing it, basically the sentiments, and not only analyzing it, coming out with a response system, so that in case of any issues that we cull out based on the sentiments, we are able to respond such kind of mechanisms through AI, intelligent systems, have to be put in place. If we are looking at replacing the personal touch with technology. For example, if a tourist is somewhere on the beach and says that, okay, the loud music is irritating, if he posts this on the social media, we should be able to call out that information and give an alert to the respective departments or the respective authorities to act in time. Such kind of interventions and intelligent AI-based interventions are the solutions which we are looking forward to in the coming few years. So, I think data and intelligent mining of that data to help the department and the state to get back to the tourism industry totally on its feet back again with least amount of human touch to it, but still maintaining the personal touch through technology. So it's a bit of a tricky affair, but that's what we need to achieve through all of this. So I think this is the perspective of Goa and what we plan in the coming few months and years. So that's it. I think it's been a tough time for all of us for the last few months, but I am sure that all of us will bounce back as an industry more tough and more stronger. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the insights. Very well put. What I liked most was the technology with human touch, essence of the art, because the challenges that you put forward very much require that. We would like to hear a little more from you. While you have talked about creating the platforms, tracking the profiles, the preferences of the tourists, the data point, the localizations, reaching out through social media. The one thing, what digital initiatives Goa has taken as a state to make it easier for the investors to develop this in Goa. So any light on that would be very helpful. And I'll just to add, there are a follow-up questions also from a few of the listeners. I'll just add after this.
Investors in any particular region, or are you talking about only about tourism?
Tourism only, ma'am. The projects, so for example, somebody wants to develop.
Right. So So when you talk about tourism, as I said, the department in its own self has now facilitated something known as the Registration Facilitation Center. When any person in the tourism industry wants to set up any kind of business in the state, normally you would have to go through the ordeal of going through the department procedures and going through certain documents, then through and through, and going through the the sections and not getting the response or such kind of. So to kind of bring a transparency in the system, and more importantly to ensure that the services are delivered in a time-bound service mechanism, the Department of Tourism has come up with a RFC, that is the Registration Facilitation Centers, which are set up, and these are centers which are particularly set up to help investors and others who are in the industry to come and register. These centers not only help these guys in getting the complete details of what you need to set up a hotel or to start a hotel or to start an adventure activity and everything. In addition to that, they will also do the registration for you and give you an online system where you can track your status of every application so that these are processed in a time-bound manner. So this is an initiative.
Oh, great. I think this is very useful to anybody who is wanting to set up something. Just as I told you,
in fact, I'll just add on to this, Rajesh, that very soon we are also coming up with all of these registration facilities on an online platform with again the same timeline bound delivery mechanism. Very soon it will happen.
Even so, there's one question from Supriyanka Govekar. She's doing her PhD from Goa University. She's asking that what are the factors that you think determine the success or the competitiveness of the tourism sector or the tourism organization, and how can Goa become a smart tourist destination? Please do.
parameters of success of a tourism organization, I think it is common for any business organization. And the main thing that we all have learned over this phase mainly is that the organization which learns to adapt change and change with the adapting times, of course, technology will play a huge role in every sector and every business. But adapting to that change and changing your business strategies and functionalities is the key area. This is what I feel. What was the second question, Ranjan? I'm sorry I didn't get you.
How are you going to make Goa a smart tourist destination?
I think the whole idea of getting in technology to get in that personal touch. If we are able to tell a Chinese traveler who's landing onto our soil and saying, okay, I am hungry, and if the bot tomorrow is able to tell him that, there's a Chinese restaurant somewhere here in the vicinity, or this is a kind of entertainment which you would love to go to, or whatever. So I think that is the kind of smartness, of course, we are looking at through technology interventions to bring it. But I would also say that currently also Goa on its, even in the current scenario, is quite a smart, technologically equipped, I should say, state to take care of tourists. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think right now that is the question you had for you. What would happen maybe during the session? Some more questions would come. We'll take it and then.
Sure.
So thank you, ma'am, for a very informative session from you. Now we move on to Mr. Sunil Suresh. As I told you, he's the Chief Marketing Officer for MakeMyTrip. Sunil, over to you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I think very, very informative set of points made, and, I just like to kind of build from there. I think what I just wanted to talk about a little bit is about how technology actually plays a role in enhancing the experience of tourists. I think Ms. Reddy made a very interesting point, which is that tourism is ultimately about people, right? And it's about people, it's about warmth and connections. So, the way we like to look at tech is that tech should be in the context of people. I mean, it's very easy to talk about technology for technology's sake, but technology should really make life easier for everybody who's using it, and also make sure that the experience that they have because of this technology is actually much richer. So, as I think about how technology can play a role in enhancing experience, I like to look at it in the context of creating magical journeys for people, right? And I think a magical journey is as much about the planning phase as it is about, the journey itself. And then, of course, the memories that you kind of relive after. And technology, I think, can play a role through each part of this, and really make it quite magical. So if I think about right, when a person is thinking about traveling to Goa, and I guess particularly so during these times, or when things sort of open up, I think a big question on everybody's mind is going to be on information, right? All kinds of information beyond just the usual. What can I do? Where can I stay? How do I get there? I mean, those are things that have always been there, and technology can certainly play a role in making it easier to find answers. But now in these times, I think it's a lot more, right? Saying, what are the policies? Are there any specific requirements? Is a particular place safer than another? And in a lot of ways, I think, we can use technology to disseminate all of this information, make it very easily available and accessible to people, and also sort of address some of the problems you were mentioning, right? Saying North Goa is crowded, because in these times, what you want is to make sure that, you don't kind of create crowds. And technology can actually help, for instance, create, kind of easy information, like say traveler density index or something like that to kind of encourage people to go to places that are less crowded. And in fact, you could even use technology to give people a nudge in terms of pricing and various other options to encourage people to go to places that you want them to go to. So that's sort of one kind of use of technology. I think the other is really about building tent value. And even today, what we've seen, for instance, is while people can't travel, I think the desperation to travel is actually increasing. And if you look at the content on travel that people are consuming, it is not really going down. So people may not be traveling, but they're still consuming a lot of content and they're dreaming and making their bucket lists and all of that. So how do we use technology to really tell powerful stories? And lots of ways to do that. I mean, on one hand, it's as simple as creating content from the ground. I mean, showing people the beautiful places and culture and people that are there in Goa. It could also be through having people talk about their experiences, right? People who travel to Goa. I mean, I myself have been there, more times than I can count, and each time is unique. I mean, there's so many beautiful stories that you could create a lot of narratives and content and put it out there on social as well as on kind of your own creative platforms. You could also create virtual experiences, and this is something that's quite interesting. A bit of experimentation that we've done at our end as well. And there are different kinds, right? I mean, on one hand, you have an extreme which is VR experiences with VR headsets, but that's a very limited set. I think the other thing that we found very interesting is first-person virtual tours, right? Which is, for instance, almost imagine, you have this person who's strapped on a first-person camera on their head. It is a live stream where, you can have an ongoing interactive conversation with that person. And while you can't travel there, you can still experience the place and, get a flavor for it. And I think that builds a lot of temptation and tempt value so that, when you can travel, you want to actually go there. So these are some of the ways in which I think tech can make the kind of pre-journey a lot richer. Tech, of course, can help in creating, really connected, seamless journeys. So, everything from flights to automatically having a cab come wait for you, pick you up, or have a bus where you know exactly where to go and what bus to get into, and how to get to your hotel and have a seamless stay. And again, I think in these times it's very important to have these kind of seamless connections because when you don't know what to do in the next step of your journey, not just one is of course it creates a lot of anxiety and stress, but it also creates situations that I'm sure everybody wants to avoid, like people crowding around a cab stand or a bus station. If instead you can actually have these connected, seamless journeys, I think it makes the situation so much better for everybody involved. So again, I think a great use of technology. Another example is, for instance, contactless experiences, right? So if you think about hotels again, I think now there's technology available that will allow you to actually have all your documentation put up remotely, get verified quite easily at the hotel and literally have a contactless check-in, right? Where you don't have to hand over anything to anybody and, so therefore you have a great experience and a safe experience. So this is another example of the journey itself. You can also use technology to enhance the experience further while the person is traveling. And, I think some examples were given by Revati, for instance, in terms of chatbots and, driving personalization. I think those are all great ideas. You could also, for instance, look at further advanced technology. For instance, AR is something that now is quite easily bringable on smartphones. And AR can greatly enhance the experience. I mean, when you're in a new place, unfamiliar place, you could literally just pick up your phone and move it around, and you could identify all the key highlights, give you information about the place. It could even show you where to go, to get to your next destination and so on and so forth. So that's an opportunity. You could even create, for instance, connections to, locals, and that's a big trend, right? I mean, this whole concept of traveling rather than just being a tourist. So how do you connect up to, to locals who can kind of allow you to actually experience the local culture? maybe have a meal at their house. Maybe they take you around to their favorite places, which would be offbeat, not really part of the sort of easily found tourist places that are there. Again, I think this is something which is really about enhancing the experience. And finally, I think, every person who comes and experiences Goa, I think you can use technology to really kind of make that person an ambassador to help, kind of spread the good word and, kind of get more people interested. So this could be things like, creating a community where you get people to share experiences. It could be, on a portal you create or even on social, and, there are a lot of different ways you can incentivize people to actually do this and spread the word out. You can get them to put in reviews on, a lot of sites. So I think lots of opportunities to leverage technology to not just make the customer experience better, but also help, all of us manage the current situation and build back confidence amongst travelers. So I think if used well, tech can really make life easier and, customer experience a lot richer. So I'll pause here in case there are any further questions.
Thank you very much. I think you have pretty well elaborated almost everything, even the questions which might be coming your way, because you were deliberating upon the experience that a tourist wants. And that is where, we all are deliberating in terms of what kind of help, technology is giving. So you have already quoted many examples in terms of virtual tools, AR, VR, everything is there. Also, you mentioned about the kind of help that technology could do in terms of crowd management, in terms of, the connected tools that you talked about. But do you think today, whatever is there in terms of infrastructure, in terms of additional things that are required, what are the areas where some collaboration could happen in terms of technology between operators like you and the government, and anything specific that you think is quickly workable to leverage this situation which is right now out there?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of opportunity for collaboration, and dare I say, I think technology is something that moves so fast that I think it always makes a lot of sense to collaborate with people who have deep expertise, rather than trying to build everything by oneself. For example, if I think about contactless check-in, now those are things that are fairly easily doable, based off our technology stack. And in fact, there are a lot of experiments that, we've already been running around that. Similarly, if you're talking about virtual tours and, and things like that, those are all opportunities. And in fact, we do actually collaborate with a lot of tourist boards, not just for these kind of technology solutions, which, I think we should probably have more conversation around and do more of, but also in terms of, kind of doing joint collaborative, marketing activities, building temp, doing a lot of content creation together and so on and so forth. So I think there's certainly a lot of different areas in which collaboration is possible. And, everyone in the industry, if you look at the whole ecosystem, I think everybody would bring different strengths to the table. So working together, I think, what you can create and how fast you can create that is something that will be very difficult to do if somebody is doing it all on their own.
Right. So I think there is another question from Jerry Fernandez. So he just wanted to know, because you already mentioned about this contactless experience. He's saying that, contactless works for 5-star and 4-star hotels maybe. Any idea around it for the lower category hotels? What could technology do for such places to go contactless?
Yeah, again, I'm sure there are many different options, but if I just talk about one example from our platforms, for instance, and we have created solutions whereby, for instance, we enable a kiosk to be there at the hotel, and we enable a lot of the pre-check-in documentation, etc., to be done remotely on our app. So, even before the person actually comes into the hotel, all of that gets, uploaded within the system. And, when you come there, you literally just have to have a check, and then you scan a QR code and you can kind of get access to your room key. So these are all solutions that are possible. I mean, you certainly don't have to be you could be, a budget hotel and still make use of this technology to enable contactless check-in.
Fine. So I think that was from the point of view of questions. The queue for you was this. We'll come back in case anything related. So thank you very much again for this overall experience that you highlighted and what technology could do to further enhance this. So I think we have with us further architect Hemant Arandekar. He is the convener for CII Goa Tourism Panel, and he has been working extensively in Goa, so he knows Goa in and out quite well. So he is going to focus a little more in terms of accommodation and businesses. So over to you, Mr.
Yeah, thanks, Arjun. I think Sunil has pretty much covered most of the topics in terms of how technology can be used. But frankly, travel and tourism sector has been at the forefront of digital innovation and adapting technology for better services and experiences to be provided and operational efficiency. I think the sector has done good on that front, especially with proliferation of smartphones, handheld devices, dedicated software, and artificial intelligence, increase in bandwidth and hardware capabilities also. I think it has really benefited the sector very well. Let me stick to how you said the accommodation and the tourism business, and for that I'll stick to the guest interface specific. How does digital innovation or digital technology help a traveler? Primarily, if you break it down, I would like to break it down into just two segments. One is your information, and the second would be the transaction. Now, every traveler needs information on the basis they want to visit, the stays, the experiences, or activities that you want to do. And the technology that has been helping throughout, right from websites to apps, media, social media, bots, chatbots, and now, like how Sunil said, even virtual reality has taken over, where real information can be passed on to the traveler, customer, or guest. With respect to transactions, yeah, online bookings, payments are the norms of the day, and it's like taken for granted now that it will be contactless and it will be totally online. Your specific query subsequently with respect to how we proceed with post-COVID. Right now, fear is in the mind of every traveler, and the only way we feel is to reassure them is through proper information, and that's the key. Providing genuine, clear, real-time information of the product, the services, specifically with respect to safety and hygiene protocols, will be the key in restarting this industry. Everybody would be checking the parameters in terms of international standards and what Goa has to offer. And that will be the key in attracting people back here. So how do we do that? I think both the government as well as the stakeholders have a very key role to play in this. The state authorities in their outgo promoting state as a safe and secure zone, and also ensuring that the protocols, the safety standards are being followed by the operators and the stakeholders down at the operational level. If you look at individual stakeholders, we have a huge list of them, from hotels, restaurants, event organizers, transport and logistics stakeholders, water sports and adventure sports operators. all these stakeholders will have to collectively come together, uh, follow the guidelines and SOPs that the state authorities want them to, and actually convey to the guests or the probable traveler that this is what we follow, which is acceptable and it's a safe destination. With respect to accommodation, well, the medical fraternity, their advice today is to avoid contact and touch point. And CRM platforms will be the best and the most efficient manner to go forward in this. With respect to pre-stay communication, during stay communication, and post-stay communication and feedback. You know, in terms of pre-stay communication about rules and the regulations and do's and don'ts to be followed could be given to the guests pre-arrival into the state itself, so they know the protocols to be followed. Sunil very clearly said check-in and check-outs could be totally contactless with kiosks, mobile apps, scan codes, RFIDs. You know, actually you could guide the guests to totally do it yourself more. In terms of rooms, I think through apps or even voice assistant, you know, you could be able to access your room service, facilitate guest requests, manage utilities like room temperature, lighting, totally through apps and voice assistant. The challenge here, like the question to was the investment in this thing. The star, I presume the star or the brand hotels or entrepreneurs would make the investment. But the challenge would be to get the budget hotels, the guest houses, the room rentals, to be on board. So collectively, Goa is portrayed as a safe and compliant destination. And here I feel is when a department has an opportunity, whether they could have a CRM platform where they could lease or rent to the smaller stakeholders, so they don't have to make huge investment initially, either in lease or revenue sharing. They could bid in for a private entrepreneur. Of course, Goa Electronics is also there. So that would help the small entrepreneur comply with the new safety and hygiene norms, maintaining the image of Goa. Lastly, is very important as we go ahead, the growth that will happen subsequently, for which data analytics is the key. And I think Revati has mentioned very clearly and strongly that that's the focus to again take Goa on a sustainable growth of tourism. And that's the advantage of digitization, because you will be able to harvest data in totality. Customers want to feel special. They expect personalization of services and experiences today. And if you look at Goa today, we can actually break them down into a few categories, like families coming in here for personal holidays. You have events for which guests come down, like Carnival, Shikmo, the various art festivals that happen. IFI is there. You have guests coming specific to those events. You have weddings, there's a big market here. Again, weekend holidays that happen. And event, MICE event. And each of these categories will need different ecosystems, need different set pricing, accommodations, travel, and experiences, and safety and hygiene protocols. And data analytics will help us in actually focusing for proper marketing of these effectively. That's, in the end, I would like to say that if at all you want to have a sustainable growth, data analytics and digitization would help us improve the infrastructure, our services, and also understand to maximum limits that we can handle for a sustainable growth in Goa. Thanks. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for this important points that you brought forward. I think you very relevantly, mentioned all the aspects in terms of what all could be done in a post-COVID scenario for businesses. Here, I'm getting a lot of questions in terms of the topics that you were discussing. say typically the questions are, first is in terms of maybe, since you are already in the tourism panel of Goa, people are asking what is being done to safeguard the salaries, the jobs, etc. in this particular sector. And so people, there are so many people in the hotels, travel agencies, etc. So that is one. And then particularly one question is repeated sometimes, that is in terms of how and when do you expect the tourism industry would be back to business? So could you just throw some light on these questions?
Salaries is a real challenge across all sectors right now. And I think we'll be last off the block. I know they give data that a lot of people are waiting to holiday and get back to tourism, but I really don't know. But if you look at our company, till now we have been paying off. We haven't retrenched staff. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be tough as the days go by. Depends how the scenario plays out. And let's be. There will have to be certain cuts that need to be taken in the interest of the organization. That's going to happen.
Right. So what Roy Matthew was asking, when do you expect it would be back to business kind of a scenario?
It's very difficult to say. It's very difficult to say. If you look at Sri Lanka, I think they are on from 1st August. But I really don't know. We'll have to wait what the state authorities take a review and
Okay.
yes.
Okay, fine. So thank you, Hemant. I think that was all in terms of questions directed at you. We'll then just move on to Mr. Amanpreet Bajaj, who is the country manager for India Airbnb. The focus, I think, for Amanpreet would be in terms of the in view of the COVID crisis, what is the kind of technology use that they are looking at, the impact, etc., on the current crisis. So, Amanpreet, over to you, please.
Thank you, Rajesh, and good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank all the panelists for setting some amazing context. Revati ma'am, the kind of details you've shared about Goa government's push into using technology to promote tourism and enhance the experience is very refreshing. Goa taking a lead, given that tourism is a big play in Goa, is really heartening to hear. And as platforms, we would always be open to partnering to understand more and kind of bring global best practices into play here. Given that we represent a global network of presence in over 191 countries. Sunil, thanks for sharing all the context around use of technology from an experience perspective. I think I'm going to just build on that, and I'm going to start by saying that there is an innate human desire to travel. There is an innate human desire to travel, to connect, and to explore newer experiences. And given all the crisis, I can still very positively say that that innate desire is not going to go away. In fact, that desire has only become stronger while we've been apart, locked down in our homes. But what we really feel is that COVID is changing travel, and we think that there are new trends that will emerge in terms of what will define the new travel per se, at least in the short to medium term. And there are 4 key areas which I believe from a consumer perspective would be important, and then I'll come to how technology preferences could change in line with those changes. First of all, I think in the initial phase, the first thing to pick up is going to be nearby travel, right? So near would be the new far, as we say. People would want to travel locally first. They may not want to get onto a plane initially, but maybe get into their car, drive 200 kilometers, and start exploring newer places. The second thing that's going to happen with all the economic, hit and recession kind of looming in some sectors is that people would continue to want or put more preference towards affordable options, and technology will play a big role in that kind of a play. I think the third thing, which is very innate again, is that people would continue to want richer experiences, hosted and personal experiences, And given the fact that, if you look at India as a country, travel in India would be, led by millennials or the younger generation, specifically because you'll also see COVID having a demographic shift in the people, because it kind of impacts people differently with different age groups. And so if the elderly are going to be more vulnerable, you'll see that the young are the first ones to venture out. And the way they consume technology or their expectations from technology is going to shape the initial recovery of travel per se for us, even in India. And so if you look at millennials, they've always valued experiences more than anything else. And so that want is only going to get stronger. And so businesses will have to adapt, and those things will have to come into more prominence. And I think number 4, which is top of mind for everyone, is reassurance around cleanliness, around safety. That is going to be extremely critical as we kind of see travel recovering back. And what we will see is that the choice that people will make in terms of choosing the destination, or in terms of choosing the accommodation service provider, or the type of accommodation, is going to be more around where they have more control over their personal space, right? They may not want to initially share a common lobby. They may not want to initially share, a dining hall with 100 people. And so any place that gives them more control of their surroundings is something that is going to be preferred. And so if you look at these new trends that we are already seeing emerge globally as different countries are on a different stage of the pandemic recovery, we believe that these would be the changes that we'll see in India as well. In fact, the kind of response we are already seeing on a platform that we have in terms of people searching with dates, in terms of people looking at various options and kind of wish listing them for travel in the future. By the way, Goa kind of ranks at the top of that. And so there is that pent-up demand for Goa that is already, that we are seeing. These trends will come into play there as well. And if you look at the use of technology for all of these things, people will continue to use technology. What we have seen in the travel space, and I think Rajesh, you set that context very well, is that online penetration, as the digital push of the government increases, as more people get onto a smartphone and start interacting with the internet, the expectations from the platform would only increase, right? More people are buying online today. More people are using the internet for telehealth. More people are using it for education. And there is a famous quote by Lenin which says that for decades nothing happened, and there are weeks in which decades happen. And so what we've seen in the last 12 odd weeks is that we have seen a big shift in digital penetration in multiple sectors, right? Businesses have had to transform the way they work. Work from home is a reality. Telehealth has taken prominence. Online education is on the rise. Entertainment is more online now. And I think this basically pushes all sectors to start looking at digital readiness as not only a must-have, but critical for survival now. And so I do believe that businesses and consumers will continue to benefit from new use of technology or more use of the technologies that we've already spoken about. But let me just go through in very short in terms of the trends that I said. Because they will be looking at nearby places, they are more likely to look for newer neighborhoods, newer places to stay, newer destinations to stay. And so hyper-localization or hyper-localized personalization through the means of technology is going to be extremely critical. So when people fire up an Airbnb app or any other app today, they should not be seeing a weekend getaway, which is say a 4-hour flight away. The fact that they would be able to see a location which they can easily drive to, and that kind of, to Suresh's point, brings more focus on the dreaming aspect and increases the TEM is going to be very important. And so, consumers would want to look at platforms that give them recommendations based on their current level of preference. And I think that is going to be very important. Second, if they are seeking destinations that are away from the crowd and more close to the nature, I think choices around responsible tourism, sustainable tourism are going to increase manifold as people have now kind of realized the kind of impact their choices have made in the past. And so any kind of information play which is more around descriptions, reviews, ratings by their fellow travelers, etc., would be very, very critical for people to continue to enhance that trust. And I think that would play a big role as people use multiple apps to kind of choose destinations and accommodation or service types that they want to do. So anything that enables businesses, whether it's a small budget hotel or a small homestay or anyone else, any platform that helps make them discoverable is going to be extremely important. So obviously technology provides a very vast reach, and businesses would want to kind of leverage that going forward for sure. And obviously, from a booking perspective, a larger preference, we are already seeing that in the pre-COVID era, but even in the post-COVID world, the preference for digital and cashless plays is going to be extremely important. People would want to avoid contact for these things. And so we believe that this will come into play. And I think from a safety and cleanliness perspective, use of government-approved contact tracing apps, staying abreast with information about containment zones, rules that would change from, given that there will be a containment zone in a particular city, it could be a particular neighborhood, that kind of information would be extremely important in real time for the users to kind of continue to get, which comes from a validated source and enhances their knowledge about what kind of precautions they need to be taking. I think we all need to live with the virus, at least for the foreseeable future. And so information dissemination and consumption of that information for the normal user is going to be very, very important. And I think we've already touched upon a lot around the recommendations and word of mouth that is important for a destination to be in the consideration set of new travelers. So I think social media is going to be very, very important, not only to inspire people, but also for people to come back and share their stories. Because at the end of the day, this is all part of the pursuit of exploring newer things, newer cultures, immersing themselves, and then being able to share their experiences that kind of enriches the whole play for us. And so, overall, I do believe that digital penetration would only increase in all these areas. Consumers are more likely to use these technologies. In fact, we have seen this in other places as well. And I know there are questions asked around timelines in terms of when we will see some recovery. I also believe that from a tourism perspective, and as recovery is a tripartite responsibility. It's the responsibility of the government, it's the responsibility of the private sector, it's the responsibility of the health participants as well to come together to kind of create protocols as well to kind of reassure people that it's okay to travel. And I think that tripartite engagement can work very well with technology kind of enabling it. So I do believe that these things are going to be a norm in the new world. But I also believe that given this kind of pause, where half of humanity over the world is locked up in their homes, 90% of the planes are grounded, we have an opportunity to also kind of reset travel. And I think coming out of this crisis, there is an opportunity to ensure that travel is better for all communities in which it takes place. So leaving more of the returns of the travel economy with everyday people and local businesses, including people and businesses that have not traditionally benefited from the travel and tourism sector, right? So to the fact that why do tourists flock only North Goa and not explore some other amazing parts of the state is something that, we have an opportunity now to reset with travel. If I look at the vibrant Goan community that we have, there's so much for the Goa community to kind of offer everyone. We do believe that, the new age traveler is looking for authentic experiences, and the only way to discover this, put this in a format that he or she knows better, is through technology. So I think those things would be very, very important going forward. I think the other thing that I would like to add is that if you look at, from a destination perspective, it is also an opportunity for Goa to kind of start bringing to the forefront these lesser known areas, which in the past have not received the tourism dollars. Given that the preferences for people are changing, there is an opportunity to create the right level of content, to create the right amount of inspiration, and showcase it to the user base so that they can make more informed choices, and then make more responsible and more conscious choices when they're choosing to travel. And overall, what we see is, businesses or people, or even stakeholders, including the government and others, will have to show one key trait, is that they'll have to be very tenacious and nimble, and they'll have to adapt to this new world. Right? I'll give you an example. The innate need of travel, that I talked about, is basically about people-to-people connect. Sunil talked about it, that the magic is always in the people. We firmly believe that technology enables that human connect, and I think that is something that needs to be pushed. But if people-to-people connect was so important, when the world was in a lockdown, we heard our host community, people who built their businesses, small businesses, on a platform like Airbnb, where they also shared the temptation to continue connecting with people, even if it was in a virtual avatar. And so within 2 weeks after hearing this recommendation from our coach, we were able to create a new product called Online Experience, which is basically a virtual experience, which started with just 50 experiences globally, has now gone in within a few weeks to almost 400 experiences, and over 50,000 people have kind of booked that over this 4-week period and kind of traveled without even stepping out of their homes. And it's not travel through a AR or a VR or kind of a set video that has been recorded. It's a real-time connection the way we are connecting right now. And they have been able to, immerse themselves, although virtually, in the local culture. Say, for example, meditating with monks in Japan, understanding or learning cooking classes or taking cooking classes live with a chef in India or in Delhi. There are some amazing people in Goa who are now coming onto the platform to share their passions with the rest of the world. And so, what is it doing? It's doing two things. One, it's creating that opportunity for people to connect with the restrictions, and this is being enabled by technology. But I think the other thing is it's creating micro-entrepreneurial opportunities in a time of crisis. When they cannot, welcome guests in their homes or when they cannot guests in their restaurants today, they're still able to earn money while sharing their passion and bringing people into their community through the virtual medium. And I believe that is a very, very powerful use case of technology, even within all the constraints that we see. So overall, I think, I do believe that as the stakeholders come together and adapt, technology will play a big role, and we will see much more deeper penetration of use of technology, not only for the planning part, but also the experience part. And I think what would be important is the post-experience play as well, where people can share their experiences for other fellow travelers to learn from it and kind of, get the circle going for one guest attracting another guest and kickstarting the travel economy in the state and then all other states for this. I'll pause there and then, take any questions that are there.
Thank you very much, Amrit. I think very well put up. I think very extensive. You have brought in all your experience. I think Airbnb as a platform, you see a lot of data. You see a lot of exchanges, the experiences being shared. You brought out that very well in this forum. Thank you very much for that. You being a platform which fully works online, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what do you see going forward? All the penetrations and all. What kind of impact is it going to have on a business like you? Because even if you are online, ultimately what you were serving, before this was, safely offline, and there was not much to worry in terms of what things do we take care of. How do you think that things are going to change for a platform like you? And that was a question also.
Sure.
I think Jack Sukija has asked this question.
So I think these are very, very challenging times, not for just the platform, but everyone in the sector. And this is going to be a difficult road back, and nobody knows for certain how much time it's going to take or what the future will look like. We're seeing some very encouraging trends, the ones that kind of mentioned. But I'll give you some idea in terms of how as a platform, in terms of the business activity, how it has trended in new directions. So I think what we are seeing is travel is becoming more domestic. That is, as a global platform, we are still seeing that more people are looking at domestic destinations now. And that is a very positive sign. And it is also moving away from the urban centers. And so tier 2, tier 3 towns or rural neighborhoods or all of those places are now coming into the limelight, right? And if you were to look at data that is coming from our platform, obviously India is at a very different stage. We are at a very sensitive point. Many states are still under, some kind of lockdown, and the cases are yet to peak. And so it is a sensitive period, and it will be important that all stakeholders, open this up gradually. But what we're seeing in other parts of the world is that there are more nights being booked than they were booked last year in some places where, in terms of recovery from a pandemic perspective, there is progress. And I think that is a very, very encouraging sign, because it tells you two things: that pent-up demand of people having been stuck in homes is coming out. And in fact, what I said, almost 2/3 of the searches that are happening on the India Airbnb platform also are now happening with dates which shows very clear intent that, we want to travel again. And some of the statistics that Revathi ma'am also shared shows that, there is a high level of optimism that as and when states decide to open up the borders, as and when, it's more information is available to people in terms of how they will be able to travel between states, people would start. And I think this is going to be very, very important. The future of, I do believe that domestic tourism will see a big boost. States that have been known for domestic tourism in the past, for example, Goa is top of that list, will be on top of mind in terms of recall. As the platform, we'll make sure that we bring in global standards around hygiene, safety, and provide tools to our community, whether it's the host community or the guest community, to continue to have these safer experiences on the platform. So, by going with the global trends, I'm very optimistic that India will be there, and then, we'll see travel bounce back in the coming months.
Thank you for the answer. We do have, I think that was there are a similar question I think we have already covered. So that was all in terms of your questions. So there are a few open questions, for our other panelists. I would just like to maybe take up we've already passed the time of 5, but anyway, I think that was quite engaging, and it did not seem like we have already passed the time. So that's a good thing to have. Sunil and Revathi ma'am, there is a question. Maybe any of you would like to take up, because I think you already answered in terms of how the contactless experience would be there for the lesser rated hotels as well. Revathi ma'am, Jerry is again asking that would there be any government help for the smaller operators in terms of enabling them for this overall contactless experience? What is the government planning? So, any idea on that?
If you're asking about some concrete things now, not actually. But yes, today also we had an interaction with the hospitality, the hotel, all of the owners and the association head also. And of course, the planning is going on. In fact, the discussions are on various aspects, because we have to not only, as I'm saying, deal with the tourism. It's like a very tightrope walk for all of us. On one end, we have to take care of the economy and ensuring that the hospitality revives back. And on the other hand, we have to also ensure that the health concerns are taken care of. So it's like a very tough balancing job, which we are trying to do with a lot of interaction being done with the industry. Coming down to technology, yes, there have been some good insights coming now that we could have a common framework for these small category C and D kind of hotels, where they need not invest in the same technology, maybe all of them. So the government can come up with some suggestions or some recommendations or some framework which all these hoteliers can use together. So definitely we can think over these things. Sure.
Yeah, and ma'am, there's another question in terms of, because you shared your vision of data collection and then going ahead and using that to improve the experience. Somebody is asking, is there any plan or timeline in terms of this data collection? And this is the question from Hejel Jan. That when do you think this could be online, this platform, or whatever you are going to use or create with this data?
Right. So partially part of the framework or the data structure of collation is already happening as far as we are concerned. As I said, the RFCs are in place and they are forming our inlet point for this information to come in. So majority of the stakeholders have been mapped on our database. What we are more now focused on are the areas which are left out, probably the restaurants and all these entities, and moreover the travelers and their information. Now this is also a very uncertain thing as of now, because if we all presume that by October is where we will really start moving the wheels, so to say, full-fledged. I mean, before that we will of course start with the whole tourism influx, but I feel the actual movement will start only after July, August kind of a thing. So timeline for the tourist information,
minimum 6 months, nothing less than that. But yes, creation of the framework, we have put in 3 months time, for which within the next 3 months, we will be having the framework in place where we know what we are collating, what kind of parameters, and from what source. This will be in place in the coming 3 months, for sure.
Okay. And I think I'll take up the last question, then maybe we could conclude and close. There is one question that is repeating, I think Manoj is asking, somebody else had also asked. How do you ensure, maybe from Sunil also, or, how do you ensure that whatever safety precautions or the hygiene guidelines that you issued are being maintained? You once put them in place, you did some check and issued a certificate. How do you ensure that they are in continuity and are being followed?
Right, so let me just give it for short. This certainly is a very real concern. And, I think just sort of addressing the point of, smaller hotels and alternate accommodation, independent hosts, kind of how do they manage a safety program and how do they make sure that they're able to reassure guests? So what we've done, for instance, we've launched something called the My Safety program, where we have an external partner. So we've got Deloitte who actually audits properties. And this therefore becomes a My Safety audited by Deloitte sort of a program where there are periodic audits that Deloitte does to kind of ensure that, all the safety criteria are being met and that the certification continues to be valid. So this is actually a great help for the hotels and, the kind of villas and, other alternate accommodation because it gives them a very clear guideline in terms of what to do. It standardizes all the practices needed. And for the customers as well, it's a great reassurance that there is a, certain standard that is being adhered to. So that's what we are doing, Aman.
I think I'll add to that. So first is obviously bringing in world-class practices, right? So what Airbnb has also done is that we've partnered with, the US ex-General Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, to create global guidelines around what are the key best practices that need to be, followed for, say, even a homeowner or a small boutique hotel owner to kind of come, use so that, safety and cleanliness and hygiene can be taken care of. We're also using global guidelines from the CDC, just like other guidelines are being issued to ensure that safety protocol is enhanced. We are also, the Ministry of Tourism has come up with guidelines for homestays as well as B&Bs as well as small accommodation service providers. All of this is being incorporated to create a very robust set of protocols that we are now launching, but also making sure that hosts go through a training program so that they are well equipped to kind of bring those things into play. We will be also working with a number of partners to kind of enable that at a grassroots level for hosts to kind of use. And I think, while we look at these mechanisms, the biggest piece is going to be the review systems that are already inbuilt into the platform, right? So after every interaction, a host reviews a guest reviews the host, and we are keeping a very close eye on the nature of reviews that are coming in. If there are issues that are being reported, then immediate action is being taken, which could be counseling the host, making some corrections in the processes, to even taking action around removing the host from the platform. So I do believe that reassurance on cleanliness and hygiene will be reinforced, obviously through the protocols that we put into play, about the checks that we put into place in terms of verification of properties, but I think more importantly, on an ongoing basis, the community itself will come together to kind of reinforce that and bring it.
That's great. I think that was all. So just to conclude, I think I'll first of all thank you all for this wonderful insight that all of you have shared, along with the information, particularly from the government point of view, I have shared the experiences and the kind of developments that have happened in the area in the view of the COVID challenge that Aman, Sunil, you have shared. Now, just to conclude, I think what has come out very clearly from the discussions we have had is that going forward, maybe this related minimal trustworthy kind of things are going to be very, very important, whenever we talk of travel. Also because, the digital angle comes in, we'll be able to create experiences which are more niche, which are more personalized. Along with that, with the help of digital only, we'll be able to maybe, create low touch services along with automation that is required in terms of data collection, in terms of helping the policies of the government, in terms of crowd management or food management or connected travels. And finally, we are also being very, very hopeful that even if we don't see things back to normal, which was there before COVID, the propensity to travel, the urge to travel is not going to reduce. In fact, the demand might be coming back even more strongly. What I have heard from one of the tour operators, that tourists are like the pigeons. You see the pigeon flocks which are there. Once you go there, all of them, anything untoward happens, all of them will fly away. But gradually they will build back once we are able to provide the feed. So that's what is again going to happen in post-COVID scenario. That is the most optimistic view I think we shall all have. And let's hope for the best. And in terms of the vision of Goa, the resume is also very well presented. So thank you all for your time here. Hopefully, let's hope for another maybe session sometime down. Once we see the normalcy return, then maybe think upon all these aspects once again. So that's all for now. We shall close, and that was a wonderful session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, everyone.